On today's episode of Glue Guys, the Nets, are they good? How good are they? We will dissect that very question on today's episode right here on the Glue Guys podcast.
Coming right up. There we go.
Welcome back to the Glue Guys. This is Mike here. Say hello, Brian.
Hello.
Check us out on Twitter at BK Glue Guys, netsdaily.com, The Athletic. Get yourself behind the paywall at theathletic.com/Glue Guys. Subsidiary of the New York Times. Ryan.
Michael.
The Nets
Yeah.
are winning basketball. Actually, I do have the drop, and I can do it, and
Do
it's
it.
right.
The Nets are back.
Oh, we're making radio here. We're making media.
The Nets. We are podcasting on a Monday at 12:08 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the best of all the standard times.
The only standard time.
And the Nets have won a game, and they continue to beat the Portland Trail Blazers, beat up on little baby Portland.
Yeah.
Hot takes, Brian. We're going to talk about that game specifically, and also I just want a temperature check on some of the guys on this team and see how we're feeling about them.
Yeah, this is just going to be a loose, hey, just like two guys, imagine us at your local watering hole, just talking shop.
Because usually we're such a
We are tight. We do
wound
keep
machine,
it tight
and
on
now we're
schedule,
loosey-goosey.
like a Swiss train. We've had some ups and downs these last couple games,
Swiss
Mike.
train.
Just tight, just on a schedule, like a Swiss train. The last night's game was interesting, though. I will say the Blazers the Indiana game was not that interesting. I don't know, I can't.
Well,
really...
it wasn't interesting because they sucked
yeah.
at the end.
I tried
The
to.
Nets did.
And we always suck for the same reason too. It's the hero
Why, 'cause
ball
we suck?
into the void. But last night's game was interesting. It started off interesting. First, can I say, the pyrotechnics up front from Ben Simmons is a good strategy moving forward. His first quarter play has been through the roof. It falls off a little bit, but there was
It's
some
the same pattern.
Yeah.
It's the pyrotechnics at the start. People tweet, "Is Ben back?"
yeah.
And then we don't have to worry about it for the rest of the game because then he disappears, which
a
is great.
It's a Kevin
Fantastic.
Hart stand-up special, just flying into the stage.
Oh my God. What is that? So mean.
And then just peters up.
Kevin
at
Hart's a
it.
legend.
No, he's good. I'm just kidding because he's the only
Sorry, it's not Mitch Hedberg.
he's the only stand-up that does pyrotechnics like that. Anyways, that's an aside. We get roasted for doing asides like that in the reviews, Mike. So no
Do
more
we?
of those. Yeah, well, occasionally for people who are not going to be long-term fans. Anyways,
I still have not seen Frozen 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's not true. Like, everyone knows you're lying. Ben Simmons starts off the game with what I actually think is one of the best meta fakes of all time. He does this twice in a row, and it was amazing because people now are expecting him to be disengaged and do drop-off passes to start every offensive possession. And twice he faked the lazy drop-off pass, picked his dribble back up, and went right to the rim. So now he's playing into the perception that you're making a face that I can't really describe the. What is the expression you're giving me?
Well, first Eddie Gonzalez tweeted out, I apologize. I don't want you to be derailed. I didn't mean to derail you.
No,
with
you
my
had
face.
you had an emergency tweet looking kind of face. So I'm here for it.
Well, he tweeted out, "Kids aren't that expensive if you care and are like a functioning adult. Daycare can get wicked though," which is what's happening? Kids are obscenely expensive. But Jerry Sy on Twitter tweeted out this really good video. Okay. Kyrie Irving receives a play from Jacques Vaughn, but does an audible and asks for a pick from Ben Simmons. And then Jacques immediately calls a timeout. JV and Kyrie clearly frustrated with play calling and communication.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say that here's my second point to this. There was
They can't run the offense through.
Can you hear it?
yeah, a little bit. It's a little bit
Right.
low. What was that? You're pulling up the clip?
Yeah, we don't need to hear it, but yeah.
The Swiss train we've derailed the train.
I know. It's all my fault, too.
But there was a point too right before that where we were watching the game on the stream from the Discord, and if you're not part of the Discord, you don't know what I'm talking about. So I don't know what to tell you at this point. You've been listening to the show, you've been dropping the link, and you haven't been joining the Discord. So I don't know what to tell you. But we were watching the game and we were talking about it's fun when we win, but if we're gonna lose, I'd rather watch Edmund Sumner in a loss than Kyrie Irving in a loss. And that's a hot take. I know that that's a hot take, but
Holy
it's
shit.
it's fun to watch Edmund Sumner do things. Anyways, so we were watching the first quarter of Kyrie Irving, and KD got visibly pissed off at Kyrie for not so KD does a baseline dragging his defender into the corner, baseline cut, and Kyrie not spacing, doesn't read and react, and KD does a pretty forceful like rotate, you jerk, rotate, and then after that, that's when Kyrie calls a play for himself, like literally next possession, and then he gets. We were talking in the chat, being like, people are kind of frustrated with this guy. I wonder if he's going to get yanked, and boom, yanked. Edmund Sumner comes up, and Edmund Sumner right away starts just kind of like pushing the pace and doing interesting things. Edmund Sumner, savvy, knows what he's doing, playing chestnut checkers, knows that the difference between him and Kyrie is his ability to just like, just
I think this is giving Eddie Sums a little too much credit here.
So there's a big difference between him and Kyrie. Don't get me wrong, but one of the only things that he can do right now is like just risk it all and just make like kind of
Yes.
play at a breakneck pace. Kyrie doesn't need to do that at this point in his career. Edmund Sumner 1000% does. Anyways. Maybe that was too hot of a take, but like if we're gonna lose games, like I kind of want to watch young guys like come up through the ranks rather than like losing these Hero Bowl games to Indiana. Like that for me feels lame.
Well, here's my question to you: Jacques Vaughn calling a play, Kyrie disregarding that play, Jacques Vaughn calls timeout, is frustrated. Is that coaching going to have an effect on Kyrie in a positive sense, do you think? Is Kyrie capable of – because I will say this. So Kevin Durant is having an MVP-type season, and we just like no one really wants to talk about it because this Nets team is so ridiculous, and that he wanted Steve Nash fired, and typically guys who get coaches fired don't win MVPs the same season that happens. But I have been completely impressed by how bought in he has been. Mm-hmm. I think he is so – deeply bought in right now. It could change, but right now to this team ethic, it's been very impressive. Kyrie, because of his suspension, I will give him the benefit of the doubt because he missed out on all the fun, right? And he has to go to the party late. The party's been already it's been a good time. We already played laser tag. The cake's been cut, and he's shown up, and like there's still some dessert laying out there. But everyone's kind of already had their stories. Everyone kind of bonded and had their stories. It's the kid freshman year who comes in second semester as opposed to first semester on the dorm, right? Okay. So he's missed out on all the fun. So my question is, as my dog climbs up straight up on my lap, can Kyrie be coached into the team ethic that Jacques Vaughn is trying to create?
And this is why I think the detail of KD like kind of forcefully waving Kyrie like annoyed into the corner like after he makes that
do your
cut.
job.
KD is the only person that's where I really do think that it has to be led by example and or actually just being like dressed down by a player who's having a great season and is one of the best of all time and is going to have the ability to dress you down as a person who plays by example. Does KD have it in him to do the dressing down? Saw the beginnings of it, I think like once, if we get to trade deadline time and we're still like just in 500 land, like on pace for playing, style, like repeating all of last year all over again, we're going to hit an inflection point, Mike.
Do you think this team's a 500 basketball team?
No. And then like we talked about this like kind of clumsily last week or the week before. There's a lot to like if you dig into the analytics, and we
kind of talked about it clumsily.
Oh, I did, I should say. There's a lot in the analytics that suggest that we are playing. Our win total is less than what a lot of the data suggests we should be at. There is some there is some stuff in there that suggests that. Why that's the case? I mean, I have my own sort of pet theory. It's not a great one, but it's about like execution time. Last 6 minutes of a game, we completely lose all sense of identity and oftentimes defer to what we call dueling banjos.
That's the Pacers game.
That's the Pacers game. That's exactly the Pacers game. And it seems like it's like really it's very predictable at this point, and I don't know how you can rest, both Kyrie and KD, frankly, because KD, even himself kind of tapped himself, was like, hey, I kind of blew it because I was taking a lot of my own shots here, got a little bit tunnel vision on winning this game and maybe put us out of it. Love that. Love taking a little responsibility. KD is the guy you want to be doing that in the first place. So I don't have like a ton of issue with it, but when it's not working, how do you like hit the eject button on that strategy faster than what we're doing, I guess is the plan.
Does Kyrie deserve a banjo? if we're gonna duel banjos, does he deserve to even have the banjo? Here's some just statistics for Kyrie, just so we're all aware what's happening. 25 points per game, great. 4 assists, fine. On 2 turnovers, so like not that efficient in terms of ball handling when he isn't scoring. 4 rebounds. I mean, he's not a rebounder, so who gives a shit? But he's shooting 60%, 61% from 2-point shots, which is incredible. And he's not a guy who ultimately gets to the bucket in like the Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, John Morant way, right? Like we all know how Kyrie plays. He gets to the free throw line 4 times a game, so not that great, but not minuscule. He's shooting 32% from 3 on 9 attempts a game. Shooting 9 3-point attempts a game, 32%. That's like, so that's veering into territory of like you're really hurting the team from 3. 32% is like okay, but that's sub league average shooting the ball. I mean, who else? I guarantee he's top 10 3-point attempts per game if he's shooting about 9 a game.
Yeah.
So like there's an element of Kyrie where he obviously helps. He's better than Eddie Sums.
He's better than I wanted to
Brian,
let me God,
no.
Don't do it, Mike. Don't do it.
You're
Because
like
people
one of those quarter zip guys hanging out with Sean Marks, looking at your iPad Pros.
the Chase Bank summer intern
You're like,
crew.
hey, look at this. Edmund Sumner's better than Kyrie. If
No,
you look at these things.
I want to caveat this, which is just to say that, like, when we're losing, I'm a Nets fan, Mike. I was born into this.
I'm a Wizards fan.
Mike is a Wizards fan, so he doesn't get it. We clarify this meme all the time. I still see it out there in the wild. Mike doesn't watch the Wizards, but anyways,
I honestly I don't.
The meme has taken on the story's taken a life of its own. But Mike doesn't watch the Wizards. Anyways, I'm a Nets fan, and when I was born in the cauldron of like we're working on things, we're building up players, we're trying to scrape the bottom of the barrel, get bargains off the waiver pile, wire, and we're trying to
Josh Boone.
Yeah, Josh Boone. Give me some
Marcus
Josh
Williams.
Boone. And so I'm used to deferring to like, oh, we're gonna start losing now. Everything, abandon ship. Everything is gonna be a disaster. Let's start bolstering our young talent because we're entering a nuclear winter.
Too many minutes of squint and hope.
Yes. So just know that I come from that place. And obviously Kyrie is a spectacular player, super fun to watch. But if we're still hovering around 500, like I don't have ready-made like answers for like we win a game, we lose a game. A lot of these are against undermanned teams. It's kind of hard to predict how good we ultimately are. There's data all over the place to suggest we're better than we are. I don't know what to make of it all, Mike. It's kind of a confusing season so far.
Yeah, it's a very confusing season because the Nets right now are 10 and 11. If they had beaten the Pacers, and it's like you could do this for every game. Like they were ultimately in control of that Pacers game at some point, and then just completely pooped all over themselves. Just diarrhea. It was disgusting.
Yeah.
If they had won that game, they would be 11 and 10. The Pacers right now, the Pacers, the Hawks, and the 76ers. The 4, 5, and 6 seeds all have 11 wins. The Nets have 10 wins. The Nets are the 10 seed right now, tied with Miami, 9 and 10. The Wizards have 10 wins. The Raptors have 10 wins. I mean, this is like the Nets are a run away from going up and suddenly being like the 4th best team in the Eastern Conference in terms of standings. When you look at this, when you do look at the statistics and you look at like just a simple one, like your points per game versus opponent's points per game, the Nets have a positive differential, though it's only 0.4 per game. But like if you go on up, like it's not all that different from really anyone else above them. This is an extremely tight Eastern Conference middle. It's a cushy middle.
Yeah.
And the Nets have this, how many games in a row at home? 7. They've already played 1 at home against Portland. They play tonight against the Magic. I think they still have 4 or 5 more at home. They play the Celtics within that run. They play the Hawks. Obviously, incredibly tough games. The Celtics are the best team in the NBA right now by miles.
Yeah. By the way, I watched that Celtics-Dallas game, and I was like, oh, the Celtics are actually super good. Like, it's going to be...
They're super
good. And they do the thing that really good teams do, which is that they get that 10-point lead, and they just don't waver on it. It just stays there. You can't get rid of them.
It's kind of incredible to see a team. Obviously, they wanted that run last year to go to the finals, but yet everyone had all this criticism for Tatum for not living up to the moment. And then he's just been like, F you guys.
Yeah.
We're going to be the most. We don't care that our coach is gone.
Yeah.
We'll just be so dominant. I mean, they are insanely good, but the Nets have an opportunity, put some wins together and get up the standings. But right now, they have the feel of a 500 team. If you go on Cleaning the Glass, they do like a projected win total off of actual games played so far, and the Nets are like a 44 win team, which is basically 500.
Yeah.
What are the things that are going to shift? It's Kyrie playing better. It's Ben playing better.
Well, I wouldn't
and
even say
it's
like
Joe Harris not being a debacle.
And Kyrie started to maybe the Jacques Vaughn yoinking in the first quarter there did kind of resonate because I saw him taking off. He was taking like Royce O'Neal was setting up threes for him, and that's not something that we often see. He was just taking stationary threes in the corner, and
I love that.
And
I
some of them were going.
Hearted.
Yeah.
Any guard like him or Cam Thomas who could take a set shot three off of some other creator is going. That's my stuffing with sausage.
Yeah. And there was a great moment too where Kyrie gives like two thumbs up to Royce O'Neal after the pass. It was like, it was one of those things where it was like, I don't know, is that what he wants to be doing? I don't know, but it's what we need. It's what we need, Mike. Does it feel good because it went in, or
is it the hero we want or the hero we need?
Right. So if Kyrie can if we can get those guys to play ball together and do all the right things, I think it's like a way better than 500 team. But we keep just falling back into bad habits, and I don't know if that's a coaching thing or the thing is how do you tell Kevin Durant to not do Kevin Durant things in the last 6 minutes of a game? How do you make, and then by proxy, if Kevin Durant's going to do it, Kyrie's like, hey, I can do that too in my own way, and I'll do that. And it just kind of trickles down from there. So maybe it's just a Kevin Durant conversation. I don't want to place blame. Also, there's huge problems with people like Joe Harris who have become.
Wait, let me get this right. This was all to criticize MVP Kevin Durant. Is that what this whole conversation was about, Brian?
No. Here's what I'm trying to circle the square on. We are playing better than our win total suggests. It's about timing, right? Something is happening where for the vast majority we're playing above a certain level, and then right when it actually matters, when a win or loss is decided in the last 5 or 6 minutes of a game, something's changing. And if we just adjust for that situation and continue on our winning, quantifiable winning ways, then that should track into win-loss totals is my thinking. That's my only way to explain it, because otherwise then we're just like a random, I don't know, it's 500, we just flip a coin, we're out there.
Yeah, this team is, we're going to take a break in a sec. I'm coming back, we're going to talk so much more, but this team is, of course, incredibly interesting. It's a petri dish of basketball because they're playing 500 ball. They lose some games that they should win, and they're winning some games that it's it's a little shaky or whatever. But they have this ceiling. Kyrie, since he's come back, he's played 5 games, I think, since he's been back in the lineup. He's averaging 22 points per game, 3 assists. His usage is significantly down from what it was before, and he is shooting a little bit fewer threes at a better percentage. That's why I think it's so crucial, that Jacques Vaughn moment when he pulls him out of the game. It's and I don't want to rag on Kyrie too much because ultimately he's really, really good at basketball. And it's not like him changing shouldn't be the thing that's going to make this team that different. It's not we still want Kyrie to cook a little bit. We still want him to put out some dishes.
Yeah.
But I want him to be within the overall ethic of the kitchen a little bit more.
Well,
I think that's important because this team had a little magic going on when he was out.
His numbers have always been good, and it's just about how do you translate that into impacting wins, I guess. How do we create a strong causal trend there, Mike?
I have no problem with Kevin Durant. I know Durant listens to this pod, and I just want him to know that I'm on his side and that Brian is absolutely.
Oh my God, look at you kissing it ass. You've got a little something on your nose, Mike. Can you brush it off?
After I freaking bodied Eddie Gonzalez with the anti-Semitic tweet stuff, I think
you feel like you need
I think
to
I'm
do
angling to be the Etc.'s co-host now.
Oh.
That Gonzalez has been absolutely bodied.
Wow,
like no one ever.
The
did
grand
before.
plan
Coming
revealed.
Back, we're going to talk about that and much more. We're going to talk about really the role players on this team.
Okay.
And we're back. Brian, interesting things are happening.
Oh.
Okay. Yuta Watanabe is trending towards returning. Shams is reporting that TJ Warren is targeting a debut this Friday against the Raptors at home for your Brooklyn Nets,
Yeah.
not mine, but yours. Okay, so the role players that were promised on this team that have emerged, that were promised, are all basically in place. Seth Curry had, I mean, his best game as a net was he scored 29 points.
29, Mike.
Electric.
Electric.
I think Royce O'Neal. There was a debate again this weekend about Royce O'Neal versus Bruce Brown, and I don't want to go too deeply into it. The Nets could have actually had both if they wanted to. They could have had everyone if Joe Tsai was willing to pay the money, but he
Okay.
didn't want to. Understandable, I get it. It's a lot of money. Bruce, just for everyone who knows, Bruce Brown, if they had got him back on like a mid-level exception level contract, he would have cost the team like $20 million, not $6 or whatever. It's blah, blah, blah. Who cares? There's one particular role player I want to talk about right now.
Okay.
Joseph Jebediah Harris.
Yeesh.
How are we supposed to feel about Joey threes right now? Because here's what I will say. While Yuta and TJ Warren are more bigger wings, Yuta's more of a 4, and TJ Warren is more of a true wing, and Joe is like closer to a 2 than a 3. Those are guys who are going to be scooping up those wing minutes that Joe Harris may not deserve to have at the moment.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
A couple of ways to think about this. One is the meme way, which I'll start with.
Please.
Joe Harris typically goes through dry spells, and if we're timing a dry spell, doing it in the beginning of the season rather than at the end of the season, provided we're in the playoffs and everything, everything's hunky-dory and we've coasted into like a 3 to 6 spot or something. Well, actually, let's say 3 to 5, because if we're in the 6 seeds, things are still not super great. But anyways, say that happens, and we've timed it so that his now he's back on track to being Joe Harris. That's the optimistic version. The other version is like, I don't love that he's been made into this like this kind of like fan project thing. Like when he hit his 1 out of 6 last night, and it was like it was a 4-point play, so there was like a particular mojo around it. I'm just worried that he, like, you can just hear the self-doubt, like, ringing through. If he was mic'd up, Mike, you could hear his head, the voices in his head screaming for help. And that's not where you want to be. Is that Lucy?
Georgie.
Lucy. I don't remember.
Brian.
I don't remember people's pets' names. I'm sorry.
Georgie has laid on you thousands of times. You were part of Georgie's life early on.
I really meant to say Georgie. And like, here's the thing, is like, there's this looming concern of like the persistent ankle injury. Matt Brooks maybe should go do like a quick little 1-minute side-by-side comparison to see if there's any change in his shot mechanics, his lift, or I don't know, because
what if he's shooting like Sean Marion now? We just never realized it. And then like Matt Brooks exposes that.
But so there's the other, like, I don't know, the part that nobody can really say, which is like, is he like forever going to be dealing with like a altered shot because of his really complicated ankle injury? I don't want to put that I don't even start manifesting that narrative, Mike, because we would like for him to play better because he's making a good amount of money now, and you don't want him to be damaged goods. That's sad for everybody involved.
Yeah, I mean, so here's the thing. If you look at his, it's hard for me to believe that an ankle injury is this drastically life-changing to his ability to play basketball. But I don't know, he's shooting like 32% from 3 this year.
Kyrie numbers.
It's few and far between from him actually being like a really good having a really strong impact on the game versus, because I think there's things that Joe does, and we've talked about this, particularly this year. He's kind of gone back to driving to the hoop, and there's things that he does well that don't really get noticed. But if he's not hitting 45% from 3, there's just a bunch of other guys on this team that deserve to play more.
Yeah.
Like Patty Mills barely ever plays, and I'm okay with where Patty is on the spectrum. Like, I like his veteran presence, but I don't really need him to play more. Seth Curry playing better is a big deal for this team. Yuta Watanabe being the best 3-point shooter in the NBA.
And here's the thing, too. Yuta,
Hilarious.
like, inserting him in the Joe Harris minutes is actually pretty slick, because Yuta's way faster laterally than you would expect for a guy who's 6'9", and a little bit of exercise, a little bit more rim protection. There's a lot he does that Joe Harris can't do at the moment, and it's, TJ Warren also waiting in the wings, but I think, like, if we're going to go, like, we're such a bad rebounding team as it is, like, I don't know, maybe get a little bit bigger instead.
And like Yuta and Royce O'Neal both being out there, and the interesting thing about Royce O'Neal this year is that he is shooting really well from 43% on about 6 attempts per game. He's shooting horribly inside the 3-point arc, 35%, just inside the 3-point arc, which is like he's only doing 3.3 attempts per game inside, and I'm wondering why. I really need to look at a shot chart to see what's going on there.
I would expect, and this is just based off memory and optics, like a lot of that's kind of like off broken plays, putback, stuff like that. Like it's not really a ton of just like him doing mid-range jumpers.
But Royce is, if you align your defense with when Yuta's out there and Royce O'Neal's out there, and either it's Claxton or Simmons, and KD's out there, so then it's like, okay, is Kyrie getting those minutes? Is it Seth Curry as like the other smaller guard? Yuta and Royce are just little havoc wreckers, and as sort of underappreciated as Joe can be defensively, he's still ultimately a guy. He's a body. It's not potato sack defense, but it's basically, sweet potato defense.
Nice.
It's a little lumpier, a little better for you. Actually, did you know sweet potato and white potato? There's really no difference. Bless you.
Sweet potato and white potato is what you said? White potato?
Yeah,
like an Idaho potato?
Like an Idaho potato. Yeah. Really, there's no difference. People think sweet potato is like significantly better for you. Really no difference. It's just different things. They do different things for you.
Okay.
I'm just trying to give all potatoes the love that they deserve. I
love that.
Big potato.
Super inclusive.
I'm into the spuds. Anyways, I think there is a world. I don't think Joe Harris goes out of the rotation. He's going to shoot better, but I wonder if his sort of importance on this team diminishes. Let's say TJ Warren comes back and is like pretty interesting, right? And Yuta, while not shooting 57% from 3, but shoots 40% from 3, which would be very, very good.
Why are you doing that? Why are you sandbagging Yuta like that? Dream big, Mike.
Joe becomes a guy that they're going to trade. Basically, this all leads to like he has that big contract. He is going to have some value around the rest of the league, and I don't know what this team could want. People would argue you want another true center here. Maybe you'd want like a legit point guard, a guy who can really handle the ball, because I think that's something that this team is missing. But basically, like we're veering in the territory of like a month from now, Joe Harris is traded. Because he's not shooting all that.
But here's the other problem: like, is the rest of the league also watching this? I mean, is this a buy low kind of moment that we maybe want to avoid? I don't know.
I think it's the team that's going to get him is going to be buying low, but there's still going to be people think there's value. I mean, Davis Bertans got traded last year. My Wizards traded Davis Bertans.
I will say he looks beefier this year. I will say he finally got his chest.
It's pretty hard to be.
There's only one way but up for him, but
he is one of the more insane body types in the NBA.
Very narrow shoulders. I've often talked about very slender shoulders,
but a large head.
Yeah, big head,
like a T-Rex level head.
Yeah.
On a very tiny, skinny, long body. Are you as worried about Joe as I am?
I am worried? A little bit. I am honestly a little bit concerned. I will say that. I don't know. I just don't like it when somebody like. So I don't know anything about Joe Harris. He seems to be a guy with dry spells though, and a guy with dry spells for me, that suggests that there's something going on between the years where that things, and like if you combine that with like now I've got an injury, now everyone's like very much keyed into the fact that I'm underperforming relative to my contract. It's a recipe for trouble, and I'm a little bit worried about it. Yeah,
he's got to get out of the dry spells, get into those wet dreams.
Nicely done.
Thanks. Real quick, are you excited for TJ Warren?
Yeah, super excited. I'm excited for you to
be on this team?
Come back. Here's the thing.
That's what I wonder.
Rotationally, I hate to say it, but Cam is probably we're gonna ramp him up, and those minutes are going to come from like I don't know what he's playing, like 6 minutes a game now, or like 9 minutes a game.
He's playing. He is playing. He's been averaging 16, but that's like there's like I don't
Yeah.
know if minutes per game or
It's
minutes
not the
per
right one. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's some games where he just doesn't play.
Yeah. So
I don't think it's factored in.
yeah, it's weird because like as much as there's like reasons to be excited about our deep bench, even though like our bench like when we're actually playing feels feels like it's bench time. But there are certain players who like I think have like some pretty good growth potential. I mean, obviously Yuta and Edmund Sumner. I think you slip in TJ instead of Cam. Not that like TJ is necessarily a growth project, but he's like I don't know. Is he reclamation territory yet, or where are we going with TJ Warren? Like, what are the expectations? I mean, he's certainly not a 20-point per game guy like he used to be, but what is it? Just based on the opportunity, not his skill. I'm not saying.
I'm excited to see him play because obviously my memory of TJ Warren, he's in that class of like Jordan Clarkson, Jamal Crawford. He's not quite as shifty of a guard. He's more of course, a wing, but he's a bucket. He's a bucket.
Sean Kilpatrick. He's Allen Anderson. I mean,
no one's Allen Anderson. Remember there was a stretch where like Allen Anderson.
Yeah.
There was like a
be.
moment where it felt very real
Yeah.
for Allen Anderson. Is he going to be like? He's obviously going to come off the bench, of course. He is a very good shooter, though. He's never been a guy who's been a standstill 3-point shooting wing bro.
Yeah.
Maybe he has evolved into that via his absence from the game. Maybe there's a part of him that realizes I can't just be, dribbling the ball a ton and putting up mid-range jumpers.
Maybe.
You don't-
Gosh, who knows?
Maybe he's just dunking and flying
Yeah.
all over the air.
I can say.
I mean, I think the last season that he played, and I can pull this up right now, but I think the last season that he played, he shot more threes than he ever had in his career. But he's going to slot into, if he's actually good, now he's only averaged like 4 threes a game, 3 threes a game, but on a good percentage. He could be interesting with Ben Simmons as like the bench unit duo. And what he could provide is just the opportunity of like, hey, you have bench units. You don't need Kevin Durant and Kyrie out there all the time, right? You can give a little bit more rest between those two and have those two play together. There's a possibility where there's those 5-minute stretches where it's let's let TJ go. Let's have him play off a couple of other guys, have shooters around him, and he's the focal point. Is that like too much? It's probably too much. It's probably too much to expect because he hasn't played basketball in about 15 years.
Yeah.
I think the last time he played basketball was when I was still buying VHSs
Whoa.
at Sam Goody.
Oh my God. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to imagine where his minutes are going to come from. I'm weird that he's like, yeah, it's where he's debuting Friday and he plays like 4 minutes, which would have been Cam Thomas's 4 minutes.
Let me ask you, I'm going to go through the list of the team. You tell me whether this guy should still be playing, getting minutes, and who shouldn't.
Okay.
Kevin Durant? You
Give me a
right?
second. Give me a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Katie should play.
Kyrie. I know
think
you
so.
hate Kyrie. But
Don't do it.
Royce O'Neal,
Yeah.
Ben Simmons,
Yep.
Nick Claxton,
Sure.
Joe Harris.
He may need a little rest. We may want to monitor the minutes.
Okay. Seth Curry,
Yes,
right? Yuta,
of course.
Edmund. What do you think about? Does Edmund deserve a spot in the rotation?
Edmund's a weird one because like he's a great. I thought our use of him in the Trailblazers game was perfect as just as an affront to Kyrie Irving. Just be like, hey, here's what'll happen if you call another audible. Edmund Sumner minutes. I just like it as like as a slap on the wrist is Edmund Sumner comes in.
He's really the polar opposite of Kyrie.
Yeah.
Just all like go.
So I don't need his minutes to be set in stone or anything like that, but like it is a fun way to just be like, yep, all right, Sumner time. You fucked up again. Yeah.
The people that I didn't mention, and TJ Warren. I mean, we'll have to see. It's TBD on TJ at this point. But the people I didn't talk about yet, Cam Thomas doesn't.
Yeah.
Patty doesn't. Or do you think he still has utility and like should be getting mins?
I like the pace that we have with Patty right now. I don't, he comes in here and there, picks his spots, does a lot of veteran just energy just around the court. Just a lot of veteran energy. He's in a perfect spot right now. This is the moment for him.
It's crazy to think about his usage this year compared to last. Where last year it felt like he was the
Crazy.
second most important player
Yeah.
of the team at times. And then it's Markieff, Dayron, David Duke Jr., and Kessler Edwards. By the way, Raekwon Gray
I
is
know.
crushing it
Had
with the Long Island Nets.
Huge nummies in Long Island.
See this?
So did Kessler Edwards, by the way, who,
Yeah, that shows you the quality that the G League has because he's averaging 0.8 points per game for your.
I mean, I always just go back to Toko Shingalia as just absolute, just
Yep.
pure, sheer dominant. It was just like,
How many Brooklyn games?
it was Genghis Khan over in G League. He had it was just like 40, 15, and 15 every night, Toko Shingalia.
What is your favorite not real Nets player? So Toko Shingalia is one. Juan Pablo Valet.
Sergei Karasev for me is truly my favorite. Just the guy who he didn't want to quit cigarettes to play in the NBA. That's a great.
That's the glory of having a bad basketball team, particularly that time in the internet where like Juan Pablo Valet, like he was just a name that was on Nets Daily as like existing as a player, and Bob would write about him scoring 17 points in some C-level Argentinian basketball game, and you're like,
He's coming.
hey, they've got an asset.
Yeah, look, we got the next
a
5
real
years
asset.
shored up. We just got to get out of this season. We got
I mean,
Juan.
how long was Rodions Karuks on the Nets radar for the draft?
Yeah.
I mean, that was a multi-year saga, ending up to him finally getting here.
Yeah.
And he
was one of the few that
15
actually
games.
could have cracked out. I mean, without a couple of things went wrong, but he was right there. He was right at the precipice.
Anything else before we?
No, Mike, I think
Close today's
I've
program?
loved chatting with you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Brian. You carried the show. You absolutely did, and I'm just happy to be along for the ride.
Appreciate you.
Okay, well, follow us on Twitter at BKGlueGuys and NCLA.com. YouTube, just jump on Glue Guys, find us on YouTube, subscribe. You're going to get all these shows. It's just super fun. It's just another way to interact with us.
Yeah, you can write a comment on YouTube. That's engaging.
And we just appreciate all of you. Hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving.
Okay, bye everybody.